VESSELA LUMINA is a dream for a new world, a way of being, an expanded state of awareness, a world where beauty is language and felt deep within the soul, where art and expression comes from the core of us and are not separate from ritual, where the objects around us are understood as active participants in the way we remember ourselves or fall into forgetfulness. Every journal, textile, art print, blanket, pillow, and home object begins with original artwork, but the artwork is only one layer. Beneath each piece is a feeling, a frequency, a prayer, a question, codes for our remembering. What does it mean to live surrounded only by objects that speak to the soul? What does it mean to treat beauty as something sacred, not superficial? What does it mean to make your life an altar? The VESSELA LUMINA YouTube channel is one way we carry this forward into the world. Through visual meditations, narrated reflections, and animation, we get to travel deeper into the collective waters of this work. To see it, to feel it, to watch the inner world take shape before our eyes and give our imagination somewhere beautiful to land. Sometimes it is hard to imagine a new life when we have never seen anything that reminds us it is possible. It is hard to build toward a version of ourselves we have no image for. It is hard to believe in a more beautiful life when everything around us reflects survival, stagnation, urgency, fear, or sameness. We need images, we need symbols. We need spaces that show the nervous system something different. Once we can see something, we can give ourselves permission to begin to dream it. Once we can dream, we can begin to choose it. Once we can choose it, we can begin to build it in the physical. World building is a spiritual practice. We forget the degree of psychological impact what we watch has on us. They stay with us. They move through the subconscious. They become fragments in our dreams, our moods, our desires, our fears, and our imagination. There is a reason television, film, and digital media are called programming. We are being shown images, stories, archetypes, emotional landscapes, colors, and symbols over and over again. And whether we realize it or not, they begin to shape what we believe is possible. So we have to be discerning. What are we feeding our imagination? What worlds are we letting live inside of us? What images are we carrying into sleep? What are we allowing to become part of the internal archive we draw from when we create, love, decorate, parent ourselves, build businesses, move through grief, and dream new lives into form? VESSELA LUMINA animated world exists as a soft and intentional answer to that. I do not want to create a landscape of products. I want to create a landscape of possibility. Our psyches deserve images that are nourishing, empowering, expansive, gentle, playful, alive. Images that remind the inner child there is still wonder here. A place where beauty, ritual, color, texture, softness, shadow, devotion, joy, and play all get to exist in the same room. A place where the inner child is not asked to sit quietly in the corner while the serious work happens, but is invited into the center because imagination is how new realities are born. They hold the keys to our ultimate liberation. Lumina is the spirit of VESSELA LUMINA. With her locks, gold accents, and flowing garments, she carries both a purity and ancient, knowing at the same time she moves through the rooms of this world with curiosity and reverence. She sits in sunlit spaces, touches handmade objects, writes in journals, moves through studios, listens to the language of spirit in the spaces around her, and reminds us that we are allowed to create from wonder. Through Lumina, the ideas behind VESSELA LUMINA become easier to feel. She brings life, play, and clarity to the vision. She gives us someone gentle to follow through this world, someone who shows us how to listen, create, tend, rest, imagine, and return. She is a reminder that softness is a strength, that play is sacred, that beauty is not frivolous, but a requirement for feeling at home in our lives. That transformation happens at its own pace and begins with the subtle everyday decisions. There is something important about keeping play inside the work, especially work that touches shadow, especially work that asks us to expand, become honest, release what is false, and step into more of our bliss. If we take everything so seriously that there is no laughter, no softness, no beauty, no curiosity, no joy, then the work becomes another box, another performance, another place where we are trying to be good enough to deserve freedom. VESSELA LUMINA is interested in freedom that feels alive, freedom with color, freedom with texture, freedom that knows how to cry and laugh in the same breath, freedom that can walk through the fire and still notice the flowers. This is why we choose to create an animated world. It lets the sacred be tender and playful. It lets the mystical be approachable. It lets the deep work breathe. It gives our inner children images to hold on to while we do the work of becoming. The YouTube channel is where Notes from the Altar comes to life. A place where intentional artwork, animation, narration, sacred living, shadow work, inner child remembrance, and world building meet. A place where the writings can be listened to, watched, and felt in another way. A place where the vision behind the objects has room to unfold through story, movement, and color. The world of VESSELA LUMINA is still forming, and that is part of the beauty. We are building it as we remember, as we create, as we play, as we listen, as we choose joy in the middle of the work, as we make space for laughter, softness, color, courage, and truth. Enter the world of VESSELA LUMINA. Make your life into an altar.